What is going on, everybody? Z's here with the 5.04 patch on World of Warcraft. I'm going to be going over the changes of Affliction. I actually enjoy the changes of Affliction. They made the spec more bursty-like and just funner to play overall. Let's dive in, shall we? Alright, so we still have our dots, the Unstable Affliction, and Corruption, and Agony. We no longer can use Doom, which kind of blows. Doom was our massive Tonka truck hitting dot that we'd lay on the raid mobs and whatnot. It would tick every 15 seconds or so and just smash your target. We can no longer do that. Instead, we can use Agony. Agony is only for our spec, which is pretty awesome because what it does is it does a little damage, and then the damage goes up over time, and it eventually starts hitting pretty freaking hard. It stacks 10 times, so once you reach that 10th stack, you really do not want it to fall off your target. Like, it's pretty much a priority over Unstable Affliction and Corruption to keep on the target. If Unstable Affliction has 1 second left and Agony is like really about to go off and you do not have enough time to keep them both up, Agony is definitely the more important one. I'll show you an example of what it does right now. You just throw it on there, and nice little crit in the beginning, and it's just going to slowly just do more and more damage. Eventually it just reaches the 10th stack, and that's going to be at the peak of his damage. And once it reaches that 10th stack, you really just want to keep it there, because it's going to be hitting a lot harder. So you're just going to keep refreshing Agony. And Unstable Affliction and Corruption are still, like, they can compete with the damage. Like, they're still good dots to keep up, don't get me wrong. But Agony is definitely a stronger dot. And our new filler, we no longer use Shadowbolt, guys. We have Malefic Grasp, which pretty much is a Mind Flay, but a little different. Whereas Mind Flay slows, our shit just blows stuff up. It does damage over like 4 seconds or so, depending on your haste. And for each dot on the target, every time Malefic Grasp ticks, it's gonna blow up the dot and have it deal 50% of a periodic tick. So let's see, like if I was to throw off a Unstable Affliction and Grasp, it's doing a lot of burst. So when you see that when we have all our dots on the target, the numbers are just really way too many. They made Affliction some pretty crazy bursts now. You're not going to see a lot of huge numbers other than our Haunt. Haunt hits like a truck, which is really awesome. And speaking of Haunt, Haunt has been changed, everyone. It now costs soul shards, which is it's pretty awesome, but can be harder to have 100% duration if you're not getting the right procs. But to make up for that, it now affects all your damage on the target by 25%. So if Haunt is not on the target, you're gonna be losing a lot of damage, because it's not just your dots now. It's gonna be every type of damage you do to the target. So when you throw off your Haunt and then you start dotting them up, you see that crit Haunt just hits like extremely hard now. And that Malefic Grasp is gonna go off, and then all that damage. Just try to keep Haunt up. That proc, Shadowfall, or Nightfall even, my bad. Nightfall no longer just gives an instant Shadow Bolt since we don't use it. It now makes a soul shard for you, which is really cool. So, and it procs off Corruption, so a 5% chance, I believe. So keeping Corruption on as many targets as possible in the end will benefit you the most. For the more soul shards you have, the more you'll be able to keep your Haunt up. The longer Haunt's up, the more damage you're going to do. It's really that simple. Keeping Haunt up is really essential for the Affliction spec. And now that you can't just spam it all day, I mean, it has no cooldown, so technically you can spam it if you want. You can spam it for how many soul shards you have, so managing your soul shards is going to be a really important part of Affliction. You got to be careful when you're in an AoE fight where you need the soul burn, Seed of Corruption. So like, if you're, say Yorsage, you're fighting Yorsage and he summons the black goo and you're getting all those ads. You're going to want to make sure you have one of your soul shards at least. And then once that happens, like once you get your Seed of Corruption off and all those corruption dots are going to be applied, you should be fine to just do your normal cleave AoE rotation on the boss. Since all those corruptions are going to be out, you're going to get a lot of Nightfall procs, which is going to be really awesome. But anyways, on the more changes. We no longer have Demon Soul. We now have Dark Soul Misery. Whereas Demon Soul was just pretty much 20% increased dot damage. Pretty awesome. Dark Soul Misery will give you 30% haste, which it can be, I think that's actually better. All our dots scale to our haste, so the more haste we have, the faster that's going to be ticking. And the faster ticks we have, the more damage we can get out while we have Haunt actually on the target. So that's going to be a lot of burst. And just look how fast it scales with us. Like, I'm just going to pop the Misery and just go for it. Just all the damage we were just able to do while we have it is just extremely awesome. It's just pretty crazy on how much haste matters with Affliction now. But yeah, other than that, some other changes that are cool, not just in Affliction but Warlock overall. The Dark Intent, you no longer have to put it on someone, and it no longer just gives you haste and then increased dot damage, or healing damage, or heal over time damage, or bleh, whatever. Dark Intent gives the whole raid increased spell power by 10%. That is pretty freaking awesome. If you do not have Dark Intent on, you're fucking slacking. Your damage is gonna show for it too, so having Dark Intent on, pretty awesome now. It was awesome before, but even better now. Our Fell Armor is now passive, so you do not have to worry about putting that on and switching between Demon Armor or Fell Armor if you're being hit or whatever. Let me try to find Fell Armor for you. Somewhere, but I'm kind of blind. Probably back here. There it is. Yep. It'll increase your armor by a pretty decent amount, stamina by 10%, and health generated through spells and effects by an extra 10%. Pretty awesome. So it pretty much just combined all the armor in one, which is really cool. It doesn't give you the spell power anymore, but I guess that's what the Dark Intent's for. So that's really cool. Other changes. One change I did not like. Our Fell Hunter, his bite no longer gets applied with dots. He just bites for a certain amount of damage, and dots don't even matter for him anymore. So he really doesn't matter to have out. I don't think so, at least. You could probably just choose any pet of your preference. Another cool thing, Doom Guards or Terror Guard, whatever you're spec'd into. When your target's 20% health or lower, their abilities hit harder. So it could be worth saving them for execution phase when you're doing your drained soul and all that. So that's something to think about right there. Another thing that I just thought of about Haunt. Haunt no longer refreshes corruption. You're gonna have to stay on top of that. So don't go in the raids expecting it. And drained soul, unfortunately, when the target's below 20% health, doesn't refresh corruption or unstable affliction. You're gonna have to do all that on your own. But drained soul does a little something more now. Let's see here, let me read it to you. You go into your specializations and drained soul now. If the target is below 20% health, the drained soul deals an extra 100% additional damage and causes affliction damage effects to instantly deal 150% their normal periodic damage. What the fuck? that's intense. It's pretty much Malefic Grasp on steroids. So you're going to be doing a lot more damage when the target is dying. Once you pop out your Fatty Doom Guard and that Drain Soul, is your burst and your DPS just in general is just going to be sick. It's going to be really awesome to see, especially if you're in those guilds who save Lust for the end and you're saving your Misery and you have all your cooldowns going and your Haunt is 100% up while the target is below 20% health. You are going to be smashing your target and topping the charts, and it's going to be pretty amazing. You're going to enjoy that. Other changes that I can notice, there's really not too much more changes than that. A majority of your talents are going to be passive now, or pretty much all your talents that you had are going to be passive. Some cool things I noticed, like if you PvP as Affliction at all, and if you didn't get improved fear or whatever, even if you don't PvP, you now have improved fear. Like you pretty much have all your talents. You don't have to be spec'd into your Curse of Elements to get that 5% spell now. But if you want it to affect all the other targets, you're gonna need to soul burn and then do that. So it kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? But most of the time, you're probably not gonna wanna do that since you want to save your soul shards for Haunt. But yeah, those are pretty much the main changes to Affliction. With, like, in summary, your Agony is your main priority to keep up. Do your best to keep up Haunt at all times. And Malefic Grasp is your filler. Getting Malefic Grasp off as much as you can is going to be a huge DPS increase. And so, in the end, it's going to be pretty much the same playstyle as it was before. Just keep up all your dots and do your best to make choices with your soul shards, because you're gonna want to keep Haunt up. So managing your procs, not just spamming them on random things. In my opinion, clipping your Haunt isn't the best way to go about it. Like if I'm gonna do Haunt and then start stacking my dots and go to my rotation, and I see, oh, it's got 3 seconds left, I don't want to do that. I don't want to send another Haunt already, because you don't know if you're gonna get these procs anytime soon. I mean, well, you have all your soul shards, and if you are glyphed for an extra soul shard, so you have 4 soul shards. I'm actually glyphed for it, but this is my PvP spec. I just haven't switched for some reason. Like, I'll give you an example of a rotation. I'm firing off my Haunt, putting all my dots on there, and I'm gonna go into Malefic Grasp. I normally like to do 2 or so, and then cut it in half, and then just refresh it, and just keep going. See, I only have 1 shard left now, and now I got that proc, so I can easily just send off another one. If you find yourself already at 2, and then you get a proc, feel free to shove off that Haunt, because Haunt does a nice amount of burst, and you have a proc anyways, and if you know that you're always going to have soul shards for when Haunt comes off, that's great. But right now I'm in a situation where, sweet, I just got a proc, but it made my Unstable Affliction wear off. So now I have another proc. I'm going to hold on to it for a second, and then I'm going to fire Haunt, pop my cooldowns, refresh the dots so they all get affected by the Haunt, and just spam off the Malefic Grasp. And just the amount of damage that it does now is just really awesome. But as you see, I'm not making any soul shards right now, which kind of blows. Like, you just really need to manage it, and even sometimes when you manage it, you're not going to have 100% uptime on it. So, in the end, Affliction is going to be a pretty badass spec. It's probably going to be one of the more stronger ones if you know how to use it and learn how to use it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or if you'd like to see my macros or my talents, if you ever want me to do a video on those or just have any questions on it, and whatever. Thank you for watching.